So I am Justin Gould, and I spent best part of 10 years here at Foster+freeman, specialising in trace equipment and the QDE section. Before Foster+freeman, I spent 10 years as a court-going and scene-going forensic scientist. Began life working in DNA and then moved into drugs and abuse. So I have a lot of experience using chromatographic techniques such as GC mass spec, FTIR, TLC, HPLC. So Ramen Spectroscopy is a known and recognized technique in art and conservation areas, where it is used to sort of identify different pigments and inks that have been used to construct these paintings and artifacts. So Ramen Spectroscopy typically produces a range of sort of narrow band peaks. Those peaks are a direct measurement of the energy required for a molecule to undergo particular motions, that vibrational spectroscopy. And essentially you are then treated with a series of peaks that you would compare to a database. The software will compare peak position of your sample to the peak position of a sort of reference standard and form a percentage match of how sort of closely correlated your sample is to a standard. And then the person undertaking the analysis would sort of visually verify that there's a very good agreement between the sample and the standard, and then form the conclusion that that was the material that was used or forms the material that you've just analysed. Certainly within our Foram X3 software, we allow the capability for the end users to create their own databases, so it's relevant to the examinations that they perform. So you would need to obtain, reference materials, reference standards of these or pigments and paints of interest. You would analyse those individually and create your database. That will then give you your database with which to try and identify unknown materials that form these paintings and historical artworks. Yeah, so Ramen is generally considered a non-invasive technique, so it's non-contact, non-destructive. Now you do have to be a little bit careful with Ramen analysis. It does use a laser, and it has been known that with particularly sort of dark materials interacting with certain laser wavelengths, and it can potentially sort of burn or degrade that material. However, you do have the option to sort of lower the laser power to prevent that from happening. So in general, you would consider it a non-invasive, non-contact, non-destructive technique. Understanding which materials have been used, you would have an understanding of what was available at the time, and there's quite a big difference between historical pigments, historical paints that were used, compared to modern day pigments and paints. And so if you have the sort of potential issue of trying to sort of confirm the authenticity of a painting, then this technique would give you enough information to either sort of support your view that it's an original, or it could quite easily demonstrate that it's been painted using modern pigments and painting materials not available at the time that the painting was anticipated to have been created.